What up, dorks? Welcome back to Steak Podcast. I am shooting this little intro video. I don't have my son with me, although you might be able to hear him in the background. He's just having too much fun with his bouncy toy. I don't want to disturb him. So I'm going to do this intro by myself, but for those of you who are tuned into the podcast, you know, well, maybe you don't know, but I shoot these videos and put them on the Staked Podcast YouTube. So just go to YouTube and type in Staked Podcast. We're really trying to get to 100 subscribers. So if you're listening on the audio, we want to reserve the Staked Podcast YouTube URL. So please help us get to 100. Be very helpful. You guys are in for a very great treat. Many of you are followers and consumers of BTC Uncle, an Anon on Twitter, member of the Decred community. Lalo's turning up. And had the pleasure of interviewing him on Thursday and, need a little bit of time to release this. The conversation went almost about 2 hours, so I actually decided I'm going to release this in kind of two parts, part one and part two. But on the YouTube, it's all going to be one part. So if you want to just go listen to it all 2 hours, go on YouTube. You'll be able to find it. But let's jump into DCR data. We were at proposed block 412,914. The current Decred ticket price is 154 DCR. And we have 53% of total DCR stakes. So that's the highest I've seen since doing Stake Podcast. 53% of all the DCR in circulation is going towards securing the network, voting on proposals, and earning a little bit of DCR. Right now, that's about 0.81 DCR. And I truly think now is just such a great time for people to get into Decred because the network has just so much strength right now. And if you go back and listen to the last two episodes, you'll see we have gone up in price quite a bit from $12 to I think $18, and we're now sitting at $31. The price action of Decred has been crazy as of recent. At this time of recording, we're sitting at $31.67, and it's still very manageable to be able to afford a ticket. And so if you have friends, family who have been crypto curious, now is a good time to try to really get them over the hill, especially for Decred, because you could still essentially, earn an entire Decred. I mean, it's 0.81. Sorry for that. Still earn essentially an entire Decred from staking, and that reward is just going to continue to go down over time. So being able to jump in while we're at this critical juncture and this what appears to be a bull market, I think it's just a beautiful thing. And so, yeah, talk about a lot of things. We'll get into the episode now. Don't want to take up too much time, but please, guys, make sure that you are donating to Stake Podcast, because it's the only way we fund this podcast. We don't have any, sponsors, and this is not, I don't get any funds from the Decred treasury or anything like that. So even just 0.1 DCR goes a really long ways. Yeah, I greatly appreciate it. The donation address is in the description. Hope you guys enjoy this episode, dorks. Stay staked. All right, BTC Uncle, welcome to Stake Podcast.
Hello. How are you doing, Eduardo?
I'm doing very well. Very excited to have this conversation with you today.
Oh, yeah?
Especially on such short notice.
Yeah, man. Happy to be here.
Very excited. You're pretty well known in the Decred community. I've been following you for, I think, close to a year. I was trying to think today exactly how long, but it seems like I've been following you for about a year, and really have enjoyed your tweets and your ideas and your thoughts. And
Appreciate
I just want to
that.
learn more from you today. And so probably a great place to start. Obviously, you're anonymous and we respect anything you don't want to disclose, but maybe go ahead and tell the Chads, the dorks, the degens out there, just a little bit about your background and how you found Bitcoin and crypto and Decred.
Well, around 4 years ago, uh, I came across somebody, who was really, really big into this mining, setting up businesses around it, and so I didn't really ask me to, didn't invite me to do it. It was me kind of saying, hey, I'm interested. How do I get in? You know, uh, 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 just like everybody else, what's the price of this gonna be? If I put money into this, what's the price of it gonna be? And funny enough, that th- this friend of mine said, "Oh man, if things go well, this is gonna go to 30,000." Pretty close, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's gonna go to 30,000. At the time, it was I don't know, 700
And this was
or
4 years
so.
ago, you said, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, at the
yeah.
time of this recording, it's what are we sitting at? Let me just pull that up real quick. Coin. We're sitting at a very nice, respectable 23,000. Yep, $23,066. That happened today. Broke 20,000. Just for the
It
prosperity,
was
so everyone
higher.
knows. Yeah, yeah. So 30,000. He told you, I think this thing could go to 30,000.
Yeah.
Continue.
So obviously, that's interesting. And then, where do you buy these coins at? And they're selling other things. Th- had got into Ripple and some other things that just went up so fast, so high, and I was like, I should put more money in this. I should put more money in this. So that's kind of, I got sucked in, and I don't know about you, but I ended up getting stuck bag holding after it all got rug pulled. And but at that time, I um, started to ask myself, ask around, like, is that it? Is this going somewhere?
Yeah,
And I think that's where it got kind of interesting.
for sure. Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah.
jump in there because I mean, you've changed your name a couple times. I was like, I never know what it's gonna be. But who is that in your profile picture? Who am I looking at? Is this a famous person? Who is this?
Oh yeah, it's from Shawshank Redemption,
Okay,
one
okay.
of my favorite movies.
Yeah,
He's a
admittedly, I
it,
haven't seen that, which
it
I know
just so
probably
the main
make my
guy in that movie is like a banker,
okay, okay.
and I chose him as my photo.
No, I like it. And Bag Holder HQ, we had a question about CEO of DCR Dex. We'll ask that a little bit later. One of the few who understand. What do you understand?
Well, you know, this is a crypto Twitter thing, right? We're supposed to be the ones who get the potential here, the potential in any specific new thing that doesn't make sense, but we get it. So it's kind of just kind of identifying with that community.
I get you.
I
Yeah.
don't I don't mean to I
No,
don't
no,
mean to
nothing. Yeah, nothing too serious. Just having a little fun with it. Just
I don't mean to stand out from the rest of crypto Twitter by it's just being one with crypto Twitter, because there are people do say that a lot, and that only a few understand, and I feel like it's talking about us.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Um, just for a little bit of more context, because I'm interested. People usually come at this space from various backgrounds, as we've learned on Stake Podcast. But yourself, are you more from a technical side, investing side? I feel like you might have a traditional. I feel like it's more from the investing side, but maybe you could tell us a little bit more about what angle you brought this.
No,
Libertarianism. What was it?
no, actually, my first trade of any sort that I've ever done, um, apart from like retirement investing and stuff like that, the first trade that I ever done was crypto. Um, the whole stock thing was like a side tour this year. I think about a year ago was when I started, buying Tesla, buying Amazon, Shopify, stuff like that
Okay. Okay.
around this time last year. And then it just, that's what was popping this year, right? So that's
So
where I was at.
would you say that Bitcoin and the, Decred, um, kind of started leading you more down this macro looking, and then you started thinking about, SPACs. I know you recently tweeted
Yeah.
about that, and different companies and such. Is that the avenue you took?
Yeah, but I do see it as more of a detour,
Hmm.
kind of like something to do while things were not so happening in crypto for a little bit.
For sure, for sure.
But now that it does seem to be very much happening again, um, you know, I'm hopping back.
Ready to talk some shit.
Yeah, I'm hopping back. I'm uh, chilling on stocks. I feel like I got lucky in how I got away from a mess I found myself in with all of that at the when the pandemic started, and I felt the full brunt of the crash.
Okay.
I mean, I felt it. My stuff crashed. I kept longing too early, re-longing again. I got but we dug ourselves out of that hole, and then actually this quarter went skyrocket. So I'm like, I'm gonna take the win. I'm gonna take
Yeah.
the win. This is not really the space I want to be playing anyway.
Yeah. It's kind of like just ready to take your chips off the table sort of thing.
Yeah, and then play this other game
Play
that
this other
I
game that's
think
new and exciting. And sorry, you go.
that I like better. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you just see there's being just way more opportunity in terms of your investment style?
Yeah, I mean, investment is boring. Investment is it's passive, and really, if you're not doing it passively, uh, it's a job, and I'm not about getting another job. So but but crypto is fun to me. Um, it's it's like it's a little bit like having a it's like a little bit like having a business. It's you're in these communities. These uh, coins, these blockchains, they've got cool features. Ownership of them is, you don't just own it and just wait for the price to go up. You participate.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, so
Would you
it
say it was just pure intellectual fascination that drew you in more and more,
uh,
or
I
was it
think
making money?
I like the problems that I agree with the problems they're trying to solve, and I like how they're trying to solve it.
On a philosophical level or on like a
Yeah,
technical
on
level?
on a physical level, on a social responsibility level. um there's some for example, like the unbanked.
Yeah.
This is this is something that we should be past that already. The technology is there,
Do
and
you just see it as like being a more like fair system?
yeah, more accessible, more fair system. Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone should be able to participate in this stuff.
What is your investment philosophy? Like, how do you approach? I mean, like you said, you like to do something that's passive. You don't want to treat it like a job. You talked about liking kind of the participation as well as these things being like money slash like equities, kind of as you described, like networks of their own. What is? How would you describe your own philosophy on business and investing?
Well, it's very much driven by experiences. Hopefully, I'm learning from other people's experiences. That's why I follow so many real um, traders and investors out there, hearing when they share stuff, and my own, right? So looking back at the last bull run 3-4 years ago, I'm like, man, why didn't I come out of that much better than than I sh- than I did, um, and that so I have more of an emphasis now on just not trading so much, right? Or at least um, categorizing what I'm buying between, is this something that I'm investing in, that I'm just going to hold until it fulfills its potential, which could take years and decades? Or is this something that, okay, this is a hot trend right now, I'm just going to try to make some money?
Ride the wave.
Yeah. And so
In which bucket would you put Decred in?
it's the first one for sure.
Yeah.
The
Decades by.
yeah,
Yeah.
this is not a short play. This is
Mhm.
not this is a long time frame play and a position. Yeah.
And what was it about, Decred over the hundreds and thousands of others that you saw as this one could be worth holding for a decade?
And more, not just a decade.
Agreed.
Well, well, you know, if you actually try to start using Bitcoin, it's got problems. Eh, Um, it's got problems that uh, are that actually make it unusable to me. I mean, for one, like, yeah, I don't want to wait as long for my send to get confirmed, and then I don't want the person I'm sending to be able to dig into my past transactions. It's just a deal breaker, so even if I'm not planning to use something daily, even if I'm just planning to buy and hold it, um, um, just because it was the first, I'm really pretty sure that it's not gonna be the one, the one that but it is the popular thing, and it is the well-known thing.
What do you mean? You don't think it's going to be the one? What do you explain?
I don't think Bitcoin's gonna last. You know, I think these problems that it's got are gonna kill it. And when you try to dissect each of those things, so for example, privacy, right? And you got another coin that I like, Monero, that addresses that very well. Privacy. I'm like, okay, but what about the other problems? You know, um, and and to me, there was nothing close to Decred to having the potential to actually cover all of those things. You know, things
Governance.
that we all know. Yeah.
Yeah. The team and the incentive alignments. How do you come to
The
consensus
ability
on the social?
to change, the ability to adapt, and the speed, and having a governance to see through those changes. So for 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 whatever problems that are up ahead, we're in the best place to survive. Because that's the only thing that's going to kill your investment, right? Is you want to keep your investment forever, but you don't want to get rug pulled, which can come in many forms. You don't want to get delisted. You don't want to get um, you don't want to get uh, regulation um, hampering you. Um, so and that's it. Decred to me, maybe not, if not perfectly today, but it's moving in that direction of being unruggable. So
No,
they got all their they got their bases covered.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
You talked
But
about
I think though, I mean, look, it something at some point is gonna make the other bigger currencies, bigger cryptocurrencies go down. Um, and that is when the value and the offer of Decred is going to become the most valuable. If I'm going
and
to
do you
park
think
my money, if I'm going to park my money for that long, that's what I look for. And it's not going to be Tesla. It's not going to be Amazon. It's not, it's not going to be real estate. It's, it's something like Decred.
would you consider yourself maybe a Decred maximalist?
I don't. I'm a, you know, I I I judge it on like its merits, and I see, risks and flaws with it like anything else. Um I I'm open, my mind is open to something better that could possibly come along, you know. I'm in it because it's good. Um I'm not blinded by maximalism or anything like that.
For sure, for sure. No, you're just the first person I've actually heard, definitely on this podcast, but maybe even I know there are some other people who hold that position, but I've never heard anyone um, say, Decred over Bitcoin. Usually, what I hear from other Decred people, and kind of how I have always seen for myself, is Decred will be something that grows alongside Bitcoin. I think the network effects of Bitcoin are just too strong, especially like the institutional level now that we're seeing kind of play out in real time. I think that will just have so much gravitas, and then like, sure, can things pass it in terms of market cap? Very possible. Like I'm open for arguments of that. If that's kind of what we mean, I guess that is possible.
I mean, if we're looking at a shorter time frame, like 2021 or the next 3-4 years, no doubt Bitcoin is going to be in front. We see it. We see it with our own eyes, right? There's no guessing. That's what is happening. But that Bitcoin is the big dog right now because the powers that be deemed it so. I mean, I'm not saying it's not deserved. I'm not saying that it was a wrong move, but right. I mean, that spotlight, they can decide to put it somewhere else.
You're right.
No, I mean, they're already talking about Ethereum. Hey, it's not Bitcoin only this year; it's also Ethereum. Like,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
you know, you know,
And our markets are so driven by narrative too. It's like you said, they could put the spotlight somewhere else. I thought that was a very interesting way of putting it.
Yeah, and I don't want to, and I don't want my stuff, being susceptible to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, is
Okay.
that now I get interested here. How did you come to that like conclusion? How did you come to that understanding about yourself? Was it an experience? And really what I'm getting at here is I feel like that talks a lot about like temperament and time horizons, that statement. So I'm trying to learn from you.
Yeah, I think um Bitcoin itself is not fulfilling the potential that Satoshi set forth. Um, you know, uh, I don't think centralized exchanges was a part of the plan. You know, I don't think I don't think um, I mean, privacy was part of the plan, but that's out the door, right? We know.
Yeah, at least on the base layer, I'd say so. I
Yeah.
think that's going to be Bitcoin's next big schism. I think we'll see a fork.
You know, I think forks is a problem, right? He never talked about what happens when you fork this thing.
Yeah.
What happens when you roll back the blockchain to reverse a transaction, like what happened with Ethereum. So yeah, I think that's a big problem. The biggest problem about it is that those things are not easy to change. Every time you want to improve on some of those weaknesses, you got to fork the thing. You split the community. You know, you split the value of the coin between the two forks, and it's just going to eat away at it, in my opinion. And look, I'm betting, right? I'm betting on what I think. That's the thing. That's the key, because you can you can discuss and analyze these things and make your predictions, and it's cool and all to be right. But you got to put your money there,
Sure, for sure.
or else what does it matter?
Are you addicted to that? I am. Like, I'm addicted to like putting my money there and like being right.
Yeah, I mean, it might seem like it's worked out very well like that, but really, I haven't had like my big home run yet. you know um, um, Again, these predictions take a very long time to play out.
Yeah. No,
So
I got a little taste. I haven't really either, obviously, right? I mean, I definitely have a humble means, but I just got a little taste in 2017. So Ripple, that was the first thing I bought. I bought it in like September, maybe November, September of 2017, and then that we had that whole big run up, and I sold at $3. So it was like 1000x or something like that, and I only had like $100, right? I had just started. It wasn't a lot of money in terms of it being a lot of money, but I watched $100 turn into, it was like $2,000, $2,500. I just got that little taste of it, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is awesome!" And then I put all my money in shit coins, and it all went back to zero. So I lost it.
well, I think, I mean, I think that the reasoning matters, right? Because if you were in Ripple or something similar, if you were in Digibyte, and it's like, wow, man, this thing looks popular. It's going up and up. I'm gonna put my money in there, and then it goes up. You don't realize how much it went up. Oh, look how smart I am because I did that.
Yeah.
But there really wasn't. You were just chasing, and it worked out, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
I mean, I that was my situation.
For sure.
But it would be very different if you said, you know what, this is gonna fulfill this need, this is gonna solve this problem, and that's why it's gonna be big, and that's why even at 50 cents, even at $3,
I'm gonna buy more or something.
Yeah. That's where I'm at.
Yo, I love that. If that could be probably the single takeaway from this, and I would feel like so much value. Reasoning matters. Let's talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah.
How do you see that? Because basically what you're saying is like, you got fucking lucky, and you're 100% right? And so like, now that I'm here in the space, and I feel like I found a value proposition, and let's continue to focus on Decred before we branch out eventually. But I do want to branch out at some point in this conversation. Why does reasoning matter? And do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. Well, that's when you say I was right, that, in my opinion, I mean, if you say I was right and that's why I saw where this was going, and that's how, and I positioned myself correctly at the right time, and that, and that's why it worked out. I mean, that's just, I guess that's just more predictable, you know. Yeah, you could be wrong and lose your money, but you had your reasoning, you know. Um, I
What
guess
should one do when they're wrong? Like, what's the next steps when you are wrong?
well, that's so having been wrong a lot, you know, having been wrong on a regular basis, even recently, um, um, the thing that the wrong way to deal with it is to tweet about it. You know, like, oh, I was right, and then oh, I made such a bold prediction. Everybody's trolling me now. You know, people are unfollowing me now. I think that's stupid. You know,
Whenever you're
I
wrong
mean,
or
when it
whenever you're
come,
right, it's
that's what
stupid to do that, or it's stupid to do it in
it
both
should be.
situations.
In my opinion, it should be about the money that you made or lost. You know, so if I'm wrong, I'm gonna lose my stack and take it like a man, right? Or and learn from it, and you know, think about how I don't repeat that mistake anymore. But if I'm right, you don't got to be that noisy about it. I'm fucking rich. You know,
Yeah.
I was able to buy this and that. Um, um, you know, not that I've even cashed out anything. I mean, but it's just that's I think about that. You know, how do you accomplish anything in life? I mean, whether let's say you're starting a business, right? You see an opportunity, you see a demand, you get there first. Uh, you know, you make better moves than your competition, and you make it. And this is just that virtually. You know, you
Yeah.
don't have to leave your house.
Yeah. I I'm thinking about that process of like taking the L's, right? And
Yeah.
iterating on top of it, and like you said, kind of taking it like a man, taking it on the chin, and then, you know, staying humble about your wins is kind of how you described it. You know, I'm still I think about this very. Decred is just one piece of like what I hope to be a larger narrative, and I think that really what's happening in this space with Bitcoin and Decred is that it's actually a complete reshifting of capital markets in general. And so as that shift occurs, I want to continue to be able to get, you know, better, right? I have reasons of why I'm in Decred right now. There is a specific, you know, whether it be the fork, whether it be, we won't get into that. What I'm getting at is, how does one continue to iterate after they've taken a loss? Like, how do you grow from that process? What steps does one take?
Well, you know, hopefully the loss is not too bad, or else, you know, I guess you're
You
earning
might never
money
get
other
back in.
ways, and yeah, you got to keep playing. And that's what happened to me in March. You know, I or after March,
In the traditional markets.
I actually, yeah, I act well in crypto as well. You know, I think everything crashed. Um, so fortunately, you know, I had the option of just adding more money to it. You know, start playing again. I kind of feel bad for people who went through the same thing and didn't have that option, and you know, now they got wrecked before they and stopped playing before the year could have played out the way it did. Um, but
But maybe those
from a
people don't
mental,
deserve to be here where we are today because they didn't really understand, right? If because I'm thinking like, I don't really know what happened in traditional. I mean, I do know what happened in traditional markets in March, but like when we had that dip in March, Like
Yeah.
in crypto, to me, it was like, oh shit, this is a buying opportunity. It's time to double down.
Oh, I didn't. I didn't. I thought,
Okay.
man, this stuff is. I mean, I sold the bottom on a lot of things.
Yeah.
I mean, because I just watched it go down and down and down. I mean, um, you know, I yeah. I mean, look, I had people telling me, oh, I'm buying more stocks, or this other friend of mine said, oh, I'm buying Ethereum at this price. Are you kidding me? I'm buying Bitcoin at under $4,000. It happened at night,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they were like, oh man, I'm buying this right now.
Yeah. I
And I'm
remember.
just
Yeah.
and I didn't. I was like, are you? I was like, man, this stuff is dead. And then it turned out, it recovered pretty quickly um, from there. But
How have you thought about that? And now I want to ask you because like now that that's a very short emotional roller coaster, to go from March to here we are December. And how have you processed that? Because you're still in the game and you're still, you're right here on Stake Podcast and talking about it. And from what I see from a tweet yesterday, you're 100% in crypto now.
yeah, yes, I believe that um, the stock market and um, a lot of things right now are their prices are going up, and they're going up and up and up, but it's not because of the merits of those companies. It's because of the macro. It's because of um, there's a lot of free money floating around, um, and they just want to buy stuff, and people just want to buy stuff, and people are just buying into the things at the top of the index, uh, the Teslas and Apples and so forth. And um,
What's driving that in people, do you think?
uh, I think it's just not looking at the company anymore.
Yeah.
They're just like, I'm just
What I've been wondering is it euphoria that's driving it, or is it just rational behavior because of like the incentives of cash?
no. I think when you're in the S&P 500, or if you're regularly in the top in the Dow in the top 30, if you're in the Dow, I mean, those are seen as safe investments. And um, so people who don't really pay attention, who don't really read too much, maybe they don't even buy the companies directly. Maybe they buy through their retirement plan, or maybe they buy an index,
Yeah, yeah.
uh, ETF, and those are, and so they just buy those things, not really knowing what they're worth, or what they could be worth, or what they're buying. So it's becoming like a place to just put money, so that the money doesn't get inflated away, you know, into something that they perceive as something that is not going to get rug pulled.
For sure.
So, but I think that there's not too many companies anymore, at least not at the top of the, what's popular, that's not very overpriced right now in terms of
Price to
um,
earnings.
yeah, in terms of what in terms of their assets and their revenues. So uh, this is why I'm pivoting to crypto. Crypto's got no ceiling.
Yeah.
It's got no ceiling. Crypto, I mean, Bitcoin could be worth $30 trillion one day, and no one's gonna say it's overpriced, because that's not unreasonable. It's like there's no earnings, right? There's no um it's a currency.
Yeah. It's not
I
a company.
mean, you're not comparing its size to a company. You're comparing its size to the value of circulating dollars itself, and gold market cap itself. and even if it exceeded those things, it can. Like no one's gonna say no one's gonna say it's overpriced. It's overpriced compared to 4 years ago, but I mean, you know, there's no ceiling,
Yeah. No,
right? So when you have money that's being printed unlimitedly, you need to be in something that also has no limit.
I 100% agree. I think like you said, this space, crypto, digital assets, whatever you want to call it, is definitely the place to be right now. And I think it's just a great segue to hearing you talk maybe a little bit more about, Bitcoin, Decred, or maybe not Bitcoin. Maybe you don't like Bitcoin, but what other projects are interesting to you? And what are your reasons?
Hey, did you see my post the other day about like the different cryptos and what traditional finance they're meant to replace? I don't know if you saw
I
that.
did see that actually. Yeah, no,
That was key.
that was a great one. So how about I just read that out for everyone? This is what he said. In the decentralized digital future, Monero will be a cash replacement. Dash will be a PayPal replacement. ETH will be a loan/credit replacement. Bitcoin will be a gold/physical investment replace it. And DCR will be a stock/bond replacement. Yep. Then you say, I park my funds in DCR.
So, I think it's a little bit too much, too ambitious, too unrealistic for one crypto to cover all of these bases. All of the, cash coexists with PayPal and Visa, coexists with lending, and so forth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So those, um, and I think it's pretty clear that Decred, right, isn't some of these things, and that's all right. So the thing that I recently got Dash after never having Dash. Yeah, I actually bought a masternode, and I'm operating one, and I like that. I think that one's a unique one. I don't see
definitely
it
will.
as a I don't see it I don't see it as a Decred competitor. Um, um, it's got more of a e-commerce slash, um, you know, yeah, something that people use on their phone instead of Venmo, Cash App. I It's not too far away from that at all. And plus, I think that those master nodes are going to be a very desirable asset. Like if the crypto space actually takes off, then these assets are going to be rare, like kind of big, trophy properties,
Yeah.
in the future. I mean, and I mean, you can't buy as much of it to have a master node without massively pumping the price. Just like Decred, you can't buy so much of it without pumping the price. And it's been a lot higher than this. So hopefully I caught it, somewhat near the bottom. But that's more passive though, right? I'm not into the community.
Yeah, I admittedly know very little about Dash. So definitely something I'd have to go learn a little bit more about.
Yeah, the big thing about it is they're, you send from app to app instantly, like instantly. Um, um, it's fast enough, to buy your coffees and to buy your Starbucks.
I see, and that's why it's the PayPal replacement.
And then they got some updates coming up where you can
But do you
name
see
your
Lightning as maybe sort of solving that issue?
not on that. I mean, not. I don't know. I mean, Lightning seems like kind of a foundational thing that apps get built on top of,
Yeah.
but Dash got the app, and for the countries that for the countries that they actually just, their fiat lost all its value, it's Dash that they're using. I totally get why.
Oh, interesting.
Like, so
I didn't know that.
this is not a prediction. It's
Yeah.
actually happening. It just hasn't happened, here yet.
Yeah.
But shout out. Yeah,
Shout out Dash.
Shout out
Definitely.
Dash.
Shout out Dash. Yeah, so that one makes a lot more sense to me now. Monero as a cash replacement, this one was probably the one that was the most right behind the Bitcoin being gold / physical investment replacement. Those two made the most sense to me. But maybe you say a little bit about Monero. Shout out Monero. I know a lot of people who like Decred like Monero. So any thoughts there?
Well, I'm learning that the benefits of Monero, the problems that they're trying to solve, goes beyond just being a cash replacement, right? I mean, these blockchains are money replacements to us today, but in the future, these are platforms that applications get built on top of, right? And so I think that there's there's something to be said for the potential of a anonymous,
Completely, yeah.
and it's not just their tech, right? It's also their philosophy. I mean, it's 100% about privacy.
Yeah.
And then
And
when
they
that
share a founding father with Decred. Taco Time. Shout out Taco Time.
when that main mission gets threatened in any way, the community rallies together and patches that flaw.
I have to say, I do have so much tremendous respect for XMR, especially the community, because like you said, I think more so than any other community, maybe arguably Decred, but like the synergy of the Monero community, like it's like everyone understands what we're here for, and here's the mission, and we'll fork if we need to, we'll change the algorithm if we need to, because we're here for the same reason. We know what we're doing.
Yes, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
I put them up there, as um, a project in a community with a lot of integrity.
For sure.
We're not being driven by investment desires, and we it's a very pure thing. Now, I mean, admittedly, when Monero actually, since the crash in March, Monero actually pumped a lot, pumped sooner than, I think it's 5x now from the bottom, but it pumped earlier, I should say, than
Bitcoin.
A lot of things, most things, right? And so when Decred, which I started buying in the $18 range, was my first buys. I mean, when it dipped to like $11, and I just knew I wanted to buy more, and I actually converted my Moneros to Decreds.
I've done that. I did
So,
that probably in like 2018 or
and
19.
so I'm not. So I think I'm gonna be using Monero a lot. Just transacting, right?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
gonna
It's
keep.
it's something you need for, like when you need cash, like an ATM. You'll want to use it on, to do things and buy things, but like
Yeah,
maybe for a longer term sort of
yeah,
hold. I mean, Decred just a better system, I think. And we have privacy
yeah.
too.
So I
Just a little
got
bit more complicated.
so I got so Monero's kind of, it's gonna be more of a using thing for me. Um, Not so much as,
On investment.
I'm a bet my nest egg on this.
Yeah.
But maybe I'll regret that. But um,
But maybe not.
yeah, I mean, I
I
do, because I think, because there's concerns there too, right? As well as they
Yeah, blockchain bloat, I
implemented
think, is a
their,
big concern. How
as
do you
well as
prune
they,
the blockchain?
yeah. And how do you audit the supply? I don't completely understand the tech, but I understand that there's downsides to how they implemented their stealth and you know their privacy features. But and
Yeah,
and and when there's and then when they will it be able to adapt when it needs to? um that's the same question I have with everything.
yeah. Yeah, I like Decred. I prefer Decred's privacy solution because I on a long enough time frame, it definitely works like I probably better and smoother. And
Privacy is great. I mean,
yeah,
I haven't mixed my decreds yet, but as I understand how it works. I understand why it works better with decred compared to other coins that use coin join, coin shuffle, type of anonymizing features, because of the um, because there's just a lot more hidden transactions to kind of mix your hidden transactions in
yeah,
with.
yeah.
So I
That
kind of
that staking pool. It's there's money just sitting there from the tickets waiting to be mixed and easily and done in very very predictable denominations.
Yes. Like, I mean, if you make your mixed wallet, which I haven't done yet, but I think I have enough of an understanding of it. I'm waiting for 1.6. But once you have your mixed wallet, I mean, I'm sorry how it doesn't matter how it became anonymous. I mean, that's anonymous,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
It's a um the fact that it takes so little time, so little fees to just mix your wallet, and
And these
then you
features
can.
are just so underappreciated. Like the Dex is so underappreciated, right? And like, yeah, I'm so
I think,
excited about Decred.
yeah, I think people are starting to get it. Um,
Yeah,
I mean, I'm one of those people, right? Because I mean, some people have been living, breathing, preaching this stuff for years, and it just got to me, this year. So I think I'm probably not alone. I think that it's probably on a lot of people's radar. I think probably there's a lot of people out there that would buy more if they could. It's just that you can't without pumping the price.
yeah, yeah. I wish I had that problem, but I don't have that problem. That's the nice thing about being a very humble investor in this space is like, well, I got no fears about moving the price of the of these illiquid markets. Like it's but yeah, no,
Yeah,
Decred, sorry to interrupt. I really do
yeah.
want to hear you talk about the stock and bond replacement, because that one, it actually, when I read that tweet, and I did read it when you first put it out, um I'm confused as to how you come to that sort of.
Well, you know, there's a lot of money in the stock market that is not because people decided that they want to invest in certain companies. It's they want to save for retirement, and this and you know, they need something that appreciates as well as produces a yield, right? And
Yeah.
I think that, so for example, if grandma wants to or you know, a family member wants to um, just have an alternative to keeping money under their mattress, or keep having money just sitting in a savings account earning nothing, um, and they want to invest in it, you know, they're buying these bonds, you know, they're buying bonds, they're buying gold, maybe they're buying I mean, they're not speculating on individual companies like what we see every day, right? So this is it, you know, this is that alternative.
And you
You
say
don't
that because it's yield bearing? Is that why?
yes, it's yield bearing, it's secure.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's got this extra feature of not
I could see the bond replacement thing. That actually
becoming
makes a lot of sense.
not becoming, not getting confiscated at some point,
Yeah.
not um you know, so it's
Oh, I am starting to see what you're saying.
you start is that deep, huh?
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm getting it though.
No.
I'm getting it though.
Yeah, no, it's so look, it's, if you want to invest in Elon Musk or your buddy, you know, because they started a company, and you think that they're gonna do
Yeah.
well, and you wanna basically lend them money
Yeah, you want to be part of
to
that rocket ship or whatever.
yeah, you
Yeah.
get. I mean,
I get what you're saying.
that's gonna
Versus
be
that's
there,
going to
right?
go away, and Decred's going to be kind of seen as like this. Okay, well, I have this money, and I want to put it in a safe place, and something that's going to give me a return, and you're basically, because I think what threw me off is what you're talking about when you say stocks is the way stocks are treated today, kind of
Hmm.
like that passive indexing, passive investment. Oh, I'll just put my money somewhere, because
Yes,
bonds make sense. It's this safe, predictable thing that is going to
yes,
give me a yield. And so you're saying that the stock market has been treated that way. So
absolutely.
therefore that sort of pool of money that has been going to the stock market can find those flows going into DCR over
Yes,
time. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So
especially
maybe you
when
can,
there's a lot of money, especially when there's a lot more money
that's flowing
trying to
in.
get invested
Yeah.
than solid companies that are out there. You know, that's why you find these companies that are, you know, trading at 1500 um, um, profit, price to earnings ratio. It's like just there's just nowhere else for people to put their money.
It's funny you say this because it's kind of why I feel like there is this like paradigm shift that's going on, is because uh, that money that has been going into those sort of companies, and like as this sort of plays out, like you said, there's not that many great companies that you just want to put your money in. But I think it's
Uh,
because of, under the fiat structure, it's like you basically, it's a pay to play system, right? So how can you get all this malinvestment in the oil industry in terms of, huge capital intensive investments that's pulling out oil, whereas it's cheaper to buy it in Venezuela and Russia, but yet the US is the one still extracting it and selling it on the market. It's because, well, the money's coming from the Federal Reserve and to the banks, and the banks are printing it and giving it to loans, and they're loaning it to the oil industry, whatever. The point is that
mhm.
I think there's going to be a complete capital like shift in terms of how money is how things are valued. The companies, if you start pricing companies in Bitcoin instead of US dollars, like things get really, really interesting, right? Because
Yes.
suddenly there's companies where it's like, well, this company couldn't even produce Bitcoin if it was just allowed to. If you told this company, hey, all right, go out and sure, you can make money US dollars, but can you actually make Bitcoin? Can you get
Yeah.
people to pay you in this super scarce asset, right? It's like the number of great companies that are out there is very few.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. There's um and
Sorry, I went on that
the
rant there.
the the places to to give you an example, right? MicroStrategy has like uh um ballooned since they announced that they were gonna start holding tons and tons of bitcoins. And I can pretty much assure you that people are not piling into the MicroStrategy stock because they even know what MicroStrategy does, or
Yeah.
you know what kind of product they're um, what kind of improvements to their products are up ahead, or anything like that. It's just being seen as just another way to piggyback off of the crypto rocket,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know and and I mean, is that, I don't know, I mean, is it fair or not, is it right or not? I think it's just a kind of a symptom of what we're saying. you know
100%.
there's only so many places that you can put your money, and that's why all this weird stuff is happening.
Do you have still more time to talk? Because I still have questions, and we haven't even gotten to the audience questions.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean,
J-
maybe you can edit this to make it shorter.
Okay. Yeah. 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 I can definitely do that.
Yeah.
Cut out some of the pauses and such. Um, do you want to talk about ETH and the loan slash credit replacement? How you're thinking about that, and kind of, and maybe I can give you some pushback in terms of how I see it. But I'll let you
Yeah.
start.
Well, um, the way that ETH was sold to me. By the way, I'm following how you say ETH because I always say it ETH. I don't know what's right, but
Oh, either way, just call it
um,
F.
it the way that it was kind of sold to me is that this is a network of computers as one world computer. It's all working together to do this process via smart contracts, right? But I think I think that those smart contracts are pretty much really only being used for a couple of things right now. Um, and and one of them obviously is having the tokens um, that are riding on top of it. And the other one is DeFi. So, that makes sense to me. It's it's an application, it's a contract. I mean, you can program something, but you can't program just anything and everything. I mean, it's programming specifically to um, money contracts and money transactions, right? So you borrow, um, you borrow money, and in my head, right? You borrow money, you pay your down payment, you give your collateral, and you get the balance, and as long as you fulfill your payments, you know, I think that's the perfect use of that kind of platform.
No, I get what you're saying. Um, so those money protocols, basically, you're saying that. So, do you think there's other things other than like credit type of products that can be built on ETH?
Yeah, there definitely is. But I think that's the sweet spot,
Yeah.
at
Okay.
least from
I
what I
feel you.
see so far.
Yeah. Yeah. I
You
think
know,
I I,
for
I
ex-
yeah, I agree.
so for example, right? I can see in the future, uh, um, hey, I have this initiative that I want to do, kind of like I have this initiative that I want to do. I want to raise money for it, but I want to do it in a decentralized fashion. maybe even in an anonymous fashion, you know, that's the the what the system that connects me to those investors, yeah, is those contracts. You don't have to trust anybody, the contract makes it trustless.
No, that makes a
And if
lot
you
of
think about
sense.
it, if you've got that, right? So if you've got investors, willing to lend money, got a lot of money, they want to make a passive income on it, and then you have entrepreneurs or project managers, whatever, that want to raise money. You used to have to go to intermediary for that. The intermediary itself had to be trusted.
Yeah.
As the banks. So
See, I guess you go.
yeah, you just simply don't need banks anymore.
Well, it's funny because 100%, right? I think that's the one where like you're saying, it's playing out in real time. So I completely agree with that. But I think I got thrown off by the loan/credit thing because, in my opinion, it's more than that. And it's like, whether you look at gaming, I think gaming is the other part where like it's really taken off on Ethereum. And I think Ethereum will kind of be one of those foundational protocols in a way to this idea of trustless gaming. And I don't know if you're a gamer yourself, but I mean, I am in that sort of way. It was actually the first use case of Ethereum that I actively used. Like I played games that had these assets that could be traded. And if you know much about gaming, you know that such the pain point of, these centralized markets and the control that these companies have over assets that really you're the one bringing the value to as the consumer. And so I just understood gaming as being this huge space where I knew that Ethereum could, solve a real problem. And as I've been going through my legal education, though, I was just having a conversation today and trying to understand well, look, like you said about banking, I'm not going to try and get into the details of this because I really don't know, but in the same way that you used to go to these institutions that you would use to trust, and now we can use Ethereum to solve those money issues, I can really see Ethereum being used, or some Ethereum smart contract like platform, blockchain, whatever, that solves a lot of legal issues too.
Yeah. And that's, you kind of went, you kind of gave some great examples of, yes, beyond lending. What else could those smart contracts be used for? So you mentioned gaming, right? So let's just say you were having a gaming tournament and everybody was depositing their buy-in, and the sponsors were also depositing their sponsor prize pool, and then the money would get allocated correct, trustlessly based on the outcome of that tournament, right? Nobody's having to hold that money.
Yeah.
I mean, that's simple enough too. That's that.
100%.
I can see that as as being able to get programmed.
100%.
Some people, when some people, when they gaming, they bet on their games, or I guess it could be said about betting in general, let's say on the outcome of a sports game or something like that. Yeah, you deposit your money here, the other party deposits their money there, and based on the outcome, the money gets sent to, the
winner,
the programmed the programmed destination of that money, which is somehow it's it's the winner. So those are like, it's like you're programming your money to do stuff like that, and I think that's everywhere.
Yeah, that I 100% agree with you, and I think
Because really there's no thing that does those things today. I mean, you have whole companies that exist just to be middlemen. You have whole organizations just exist to just be middlemen and take a piece of the value. It's just there is no way that something decentralized wouldn't be better.
Yeah. I think this is going to be a good transition because we got a question about, I wouldn't have brought this up otherwise, to be honest, but we got a question about Ethereum Classic. I noticed on one of your tweets, you did have Ethereum Classic was mentioned. And I think even the Grayscale trust of Ethereum Classic. What are your thoughts about ETC? And then I'll follow up, unless you'd like me to go first, because the question was actually directed towards me. Shout out Ellie Herf one. He asked 2 questions, but this is a good segue to his second question, which is, why do I own Ethereum Classic? Do you want to go first?
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I'll go first. So to me, I started getting into Ethereum Classic. I'm actually not even an ETH holder. I don't hold any Ethereum. I started using Ethereum throughout the bear market to play games. And I really just wanted to try to figure out what this was all about. And then as I started reading, I was kind of primarily motivated to see the value proposition in Ethereum Classic by George Gilder's book,
Oh yeah,
Life After Google. And, he talked about a couple of things, scarcity being one, and sort of this idea of, moving from an era in which computers are seen as like these public utilities to where like it's more viewed as like private utilities. And so you have to kind of like pay, right? So there's going to be, that's kind of like the idea of like transaction fees and, maybe Filecoin's an example or something like that. But to me, I chose Ethereum Classic because I came to this realization that, okay, there is definitely a use case for a smart contract blockchain. Even if it's just gaming alone, I felt like that could be very huge, thought it could be $1 billion network.
yeah.
And so what I didn't like about Ethereum was, as compared to Ethereum Classic, which at the time, those were like the leading 2 sort of smart contract blockchains.
Yeah.
I felt like Ethereum Classic what had more decentralization in terms of, the people who were making the different interfaces. And also I liked that it was a fixed supply. I liked that it was cheaper because I was, obviously I was poor. And really what I liked that it was more principled. I felt like, once you kind of fork to fix something that went wrong, like I felt that Ethereum had proven to the world that if there's a transaction that the regulators don't like, we can change it. And I felt like Ethereum Classic had proven to the world that if there's a transaction, it doesn't matter who the fuck doesn't like it, you can't change it. And that, along with the fixed supply, I was like, okay, so it's Ethereum or Ethereum Classic. If I'm going to put my money in one of these things, I like the value proposition of Ethereum Classic more.
That's definitely the narrative, and I think actually it's a little bit overblown. I mean, what happened with Ethereum when they got hacked, that got reversed by the fork. I mean, it was as big of a deal then as it was like if Decred's treasury got hacked. I mean, it kills the project, and their willingness to reverse those transactions, then I don't really see that as meaning the same thing as their willingness to do the same thing again if it happened again.
I do agree with that too. Like I don't think you'd have the same outcome today.
No, it was and I think that ETC advocates, do a disservice to their project when they just keep focusing on that thing.
Yeah, the DAO hack.
I mean, even if you look at, I don't know if it was their main website, but
Yeah,
it
it
was
was
some
yeah.
official looking website that I
Mhm.
saw recently, and they just kept talking about that, and I'm just like, you gotta talk about better things than that.
Yeah, I know exactly what website you're talking about. I think it might be ethereumclassic.org.
Something like that, or some
where they-
foundation, I don't know. But
Yeah, on this it says untampered ledger since 2015 on Ethereum Classic.
yeah, I mean, that sounds like what Roger Ver is saying about Bitcoin Cash.
Oh, interesting.
It's just,
Yeah.
hey, this is the
This is the one true.
this is the one, you know, it
Satoshi's vision.
it's just not it's not it's just not a selling point for me.
Yeah, you think it's a false narrative.
I do.
So
And
then
I think,
why are you tweeting about Ethereum Classic and Ethereum Classic? Is it just a trade for you?
yeah. It's
I
not
did
a
see
very
I saw you kind of, so that was interesting too. I did see you tweet sort of the way you've started thinking about investments is like, okay, I got long-term things that I'm willing to hold for, a decade or 2 or 3, and then I got other things that I'm only going to hold for 3 months and I'm going to trade this shit.
yeah. It is a trend. So, but before I discount the project too bad, um, Ethereum Classic is as you may know, they have that coin on Robinhood.
Mm-hmm.
They have that coin um
On Coinbase.
yeah, they have it on Coinbase. It's on the um pre-approved list of coins, basically on Wall Street.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and
I see what you're going with this.
along with, by the way, Bitcoin Cash is on that list too.
Oh, great.
LTC is on that list too.
Yeah, that one's just
So these things are with, this is one of the this is the smallest of what I think has potential to be like the Wall Street friendly coins.
I see.
Yeah. It's getting, they're going the regulation route, right?
Yeah.
They're going the bank, they're going that route. And but they
suit and tie route.
I think that Ethereum Classic specifically, with the things that they have, that they're working on, right? They're far from fulfilling these goals, but they're also working on, or at least talking about, a treasury. They're as you mentioned, they lock their supply to a certain amount. They're making it more of a store of value, and I think that's the Wall Street narrative, right?
No, I think you're right. I think it's something that's going to be peddled in that exact same way.
Yeah, it's one of those. I mean, yeah,
you look at the chart on CoinGecko. It's like it's a very pretty chart when you zoom out.
when you are on that list with Bitcoin, with Ethereum, with Bitcoin Cash, with Litecoin, and also Ripple,
yeah,
those kinds of coins are
destined.
Yeah, they're all going to rise together.
Yeah.
I think this year.
I think that's right. I mean, it's what seems like what's playing out.
Yeah. When I said earlier that it's on Robinhood, I meant to follow that up with, it's also on Grayscale.
Yes. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
Right. So I mean, they pick these coins for a reason, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's those are the
ones you could peddle to the incoming class, right?
Yeah, those are the ones that are legal, regulated, right? And you just want a piece of that. I mean, we've been sitting in this, we've been sitting in this community for years, and
Why
when
not
it
get rich now?
yeah, when it blows up, how can you be one of the ones that got left behind when you got in, so it's one of those things.
I completely agree. Actually, I'm
And
not gonna. I completely agree.
I also think that um, they had challenges. Basically, the reputation of ETC is not so good now.
Yeah, all those 51%
It
attacks,
that
all the fallouts and beef,
yeah,
infighting.
I mean, they got some really douchey people working.
Yeah. Not the most liked characters necessarily.
However, it is a major. So it's a major that's not priced like a major right now.
Yeah.
And I think that watching the developments in the community, I don't know if they made some changes to the mining algorithm that makes it more friendly to older video cards, and they are making even more improvements um, um, to the algorithm. I mean, they are that's pure potential to me. It's I don't see a complete roadmap yet, but I see that they have the inside track, right? If another project had double their tech and double their roadmap and double their fundamentals, but it's not on the Wall Street whitelist, I would still invest in the one that's on the Wall Street whitelist.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
that's it pretty much guarantees. I mean, they have to really, really mess up to fall off.
Yeah, you're right.
So but it's not a very strong hand.
Not something you want to hold for a decade necessarily.
If I hopefully that's one of the ones where I can buy it at the bottom and sell it at the top, and do well enough that I feel like I can leave my other things alone.
I feel you kind of make up for some of the other ones. No, I actually completely agree. That's actually kind of, yes, I 100% agree. One of the reasons why Ethereum started kind of Ethereum Classic, another reason why was the narrative aspect of it. But nowadays, as I see the space looking out in decades, I see interoperability like kind of being a thing. Do you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Atomic and just not having to go through not having to go through regulated, monitored entities to operate. I mean, I would say transact, like in terms of money, but really it goes beyond that to just applications in general. Um, you need that has the potential of being that type of contract, that type of glue that brings things together. But does that matter in the Wall Street narrative? I mean, just the fact that BCH is on that list, it's I'm not can't talk too much about a project that I don't know about. I just know that I don't hear much about what's going on there. But I mean, all they have to do is exist and not fall apart.
Yeah.
They're already in,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
So if going, you know, if like investments are going to go up over time, that's just a function of the inflation, right? No matter what you hold is going to go up over time, and the only way to lose is if it falls apart. You know, if it gets rug pulled, if it gets, you know, shut down, if it goes bankrupt, like that's really it. And you just have to be able to avoid those and hold long enough and avoid those um, um, non-safe investments, and and it should be easy for them. So I hope they pull it off.
Completely agree. I want to jump into these community questions now, and hopefully we can do this quick because I know I've already taken up more of your time than I promised, but I've really enjoyed talking with you, and I've learned a whole bunch, and I think that the dorks out there are going to really enjoy listening to this. Got to start off with a question from Checkmate, obviously, well known, and I'm sure hopefully if he listens to this, you know, he and I don't know if you'll remember, we had a conversation about Ethereum Classic one time on Twitter, to which, you know, he explained to me why he doesn't like it, but yeah, so shout out Checkmate. What does an ideal exit look like for you in terms of let's say I think he means in terms of Decred, but like maybe just in general as well. So what does an ideal exit look like for you?
Man, I don't plan to exit Decred. I I think that if I did, I would be repeating mistakes that I've told myself many times I wish I didn't make. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the potential of where it's going is just worth holding through even major drawdowns, even major bear periods. Um, so, but let's just say it's the peak of the bull market and I didn't do so well, and that one did well, and it looks like it might drop. I mean, yeah, I might sell it, right? But in that would be a failure on my part. So
Yeah.
the way that I'm situating things is that I
That's going to be
should
one
be
you could
able
ride out.
to, yeah, I
Yeah.
should be able to get satisfied with the results of some other investments so that I can truly leave this one alone. But generally speaking, um, with things that I don't intend to hold, which is most things, I'm just looking for a 2x, 3x, you know, and then roll that money into something that's still at the bottom. Kind of compound my winnings and do it rinse and repeat.
Rinse and repeat. Yeah. No, I like that strategy. Moving on to back to Ellie Herf's original question. I think this is a good follow up. He asked, can you see DCR going more mainstream in the space?
Yes. Yes, I do. I'm not sure, you know, if the attitude about, because, you know, Decred, we don't really care about regulations, right? We don't really care about
anything outside of our consensus and our rules.
yeah,
Yeah.
outside of the way that we think it should be, which you know, governments probably won't be their favorite, right? But um, um, yeah, if it, I definitely see it being in the top 10. I definitely see it being on par, if not surpassing Litecoin. Saying top 10 or top 20 or top 5, it doesn't really mean that much today when there's so much junk on the top list that
Yeah.
I wouldn't even count.
Wish
Right?
upon my worst enemy.
but I like it to surpass Litecoin. You know, I like it to be offered to, you know, Robinhood and stuff like that, Grayscale, stuff like that, to just make it more accessible to more people. But I think like other major blockchains, I think it's when this reaches the masses, if and when it reaches the masses, it won't be in the form of like Decred and Decred tokens. It's going to be in the form of the things that are running on top of it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we heard some cool applications like the one about the campaign donations in Brazil.
For sure.
You know, I mean, I've seen things about time stamping documents and other content. I think that's more when it becomes mainstream. It's not the layer that people will see and interact with. It's the layer underneath. And when you know, for the people who own a piece of that, and you know, as part of the DAO, as part of the stakeholders, have a chance of directing that where that goes, you know, that's even better.
I completely agree. It next question, actually, keep this going, comes from Long Term Daily, better known as PP, at Long Term Daily. Shout out. He says, "How did you become the CEO of DCR Dex?"
I don't know, man. They hired me and I got promoted. I mean, they
Yoakum Pyatt, he came and he appointed you. He's trying to get out of the game.
Yeah, the old CEO died and they appointed me. So anybody can be anybody on the Dex.
Yeah, we can all be the CEO.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess your
more
overall
accurately,
with the Dex. Sorry,
more accurately, you know, we are treasurers and board members of the DAO. But I mean, you know, be interesting job I would like to apply for is I'd like to be the general counsel of the Dex.
No. That's what I'm trying to do.
That's what you're trying to do.
That is my goal.
So,
no, but seriously, like I like what I'm so interested to take entity, corporation, whatever the heck in class is called, just to like, because like you said, are we shareholders? Are we the board of directors? I'm so interested just to learn about the how the law views these things, and sort of what is the nature of the protocol in relation to the law and
well,
some of these different
they
things.
don't see, the law doesn't seem to be trying to catch up to this at this point, right? They're still
it doesn't. It's so far behind. It's wild.
They're still busy chasing
2017.
Yeah. So I mean, this stuff and it's not in its final form, right? But when it does, I mean, it is going to be, it's going to be its own unregulatable thing. You know, there won't be anybody you can trace it back to.
The nature of these things is like law is going to have to adapt to the reality of these protocols. It's not the other way around. It's not like, well, the law gets to come and impose its rule. You want to know what? You guys are actually,
It's even bigger than that, man, because
Yeah.
there's no such thing as world laws right now or internet laws right now, right?
Yeah.
And if you just have a law in America, if you just have a law, in any jurisdiction, I mean, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't mean shit compared
This is
to
happening. This is happening. Not, you can't reach this stuff.
Yeah.
It's all around. It's all around the world and nowhere around the world at the same time.
Exactly.
So you even just the fact that they're trying to come up with laws for this tells me how far behind they are. What they should be figuring out is the foundation of, what are the worldwide laws of the internet, and how does the governance of that get set up and happen? Because until you have that, you're just gonna have laws you can't execute.
For sure.
We're playing on a different field.
Yeah, I this is the stuff that gets me the most excited about the future. Have you used the DEX, and what has been your overall experience? That question comes from one time warp at one time.
Yeah. Hey, the DEX is awesome. I've used it. It was pretty easy to set up.
Do you have to have a node? This is legit. This is for me. Do you have to have a node running in order to run the DEX?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So I got to do that this break.
I mean, but you set it up. You don't set up the node and then set up the DEX. I mean, when you're following the process to set up the DEX, like when you download it, it's part of this DEX setup process.
Is setting up a node?
Both the DCR node as well as the Bitcoin node.
Oh, interesting. You set up both as part of the process setting up the DEX.
Yeah.
Shit. So that's got to be that's my goal for this break, is to set up the DCR DEX. And so you're telling me to do that, I'm going to need to run a Bitcoin node and a Decred node.
Yeah. I will say this though. The DEX is the DEX has a very specific use case right now. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's something it's something like a replacement for OTC trading. One, there's a 40 DCR value barrier to being able to trade anything on there. You can't buy or sell anything except in chunks of 40.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
So, and they got reasons for that. I don't disagree with the reasons.
Makes sense to me.
Maybe eventually it won't matter. Again, applications are going to get built on top of this.
Yeah.
They'll figure out a way to split that somehow. I get it, but you can't. So that's one. It is kind of when I try to use the DEX as like an actual transaction, that stopped me right there, because while it would be nice to buy an additional 40 DCR and just have it, I felt at that time I felt like I didn't need any more DCR.
Yeah.
Right? I already spent a lot of time, accumulating just the right amount that I thought I should have.
Yeah.
So I didn't. But even if I did, at this point, I would be more comfortable using that to just buy Decred. The fact that when you sell your Decred, you get Bitcoins, because that's the only option right now, right? I think Monero would be better at some point than Bitcoins. I'd rather sell for Monero than sell for Bitcoins.
I 100%
Because
agree.
because that Bitcoin
It's so
that you
traceable.
get, you don't, it could actually be blacklisted Bitcoins.
True.
You
Could
know,
be.
like, somebody could have a malware program or a ransomware program or some kind of a Bitcoin hack, and they don't know what to do with it, and they see the DEX as a way to dump their dirty coins.
Yeah.
And it's not through the fault of the DEX or DCR. It's just Bitcoin you don't want to acquire from just anybody,
Yeah. Get
right?
rid of their.
It should be trustless, but it isn't. You want to, because you could get stuck with a Bitcoin that's, you can't withdraw.
Yeah.
you can't you can't
No one wants it.
no one wants it. You could get stuck with that. It's terrible. So but buying DCR, and also the whale, the walls disappeared anyway. Like, there's really not a lot of people selling DCR even there. So, but look, what the DEX um is a first step, I think, is what it was all that it's meant to be. You know, they it's just the way they work. They make the foundation, they make the command line interface, and then they put the end usable thing. It comes later, and I guess at some point, maybe they even extend these features to the mobile app, or to just a website that's publicly accessible. But it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool that that as it is, other coins with atomic swap can be added to it with, as I understand, it's relatively straightforward. I mean, as long as the other coin does atomic swap, they'll be able to be put in here, and it's just a anonymous kind of matchmaking service between two parties. But I think Bitcoin and any other coin that can be blacklisted, where specific wallets and specific coins can be blacklisted, I think in the long run won't be on there. It would be abused. So this is going to be probably a DEX for the more privacy conscious flavor of coins.
I agree.
Which Litecoin and Monero, I'll put them in that category.
Yeah. I think Monero, like you said, is one of the best things that could be added. Because I mean, I don't really want to move out of Decred into Bitcoin personally.
Yeah. But the DEX is, why is the DEX even there? Why was that project funded? It's I think one of the consequences of having the DEX there is that there's a buy wall on the DEX, right? So when someone's interested to buy 100 or 200K worth of coins at this price, which is like 5% below, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
There's a spread
For sure.
I mean, what that means is that on the centralized exchanges, when the price dumps, it won't dump much farther for very long below that buy wall on the DEX because people can just buy it, right, and sell it on the DEX.
Yeah.
So I think that's interesting, because
I hadn't thought about that.
You
That is
can
really
make
interesting.
you can make
the asset go up
without. You can make buy walls that everyone has to respect and and recognized,
Yeah.
or else they lose money. And you can do so while the coins are in your wallet. So the alternative would be, depositing 10 or 20 BTC into Binance or Bittrex and just have it sitting there waiting for your order to get filled. No one wants to do that.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't want to do that. But so the DEX does that, but also like the price of DCR, even with the DEX today, because the DEX is not so widely used, if either DCR got delisted from the big exchanges that it's on, or those exchanges went down, whatever, government got concerned and they seized those companies. I don't know, seized those companies. I think the higher the value of these cryptocurrencies go, the more government attention they're going to attract. And you got, so those are very realistic threats, and today, if that happened, DCR would tank, I think. So it's kind of, but if when the DEX reaches its full potential in terms of how widely it's used, how easily accessible it is, how anonymous it really is, if and all the different currencies you can exit to, if you needed to, I think when the DEX reaches its full potential, it's no longer going to be under threat of what the central exchanges do. So it's really it's really this like defensive strategy, so somebody at some point, I don't know who, credit to them though, determined that even though that's not a technical threat, that was a real threat to the value and the existence of the coin and of the project. And then years ago made a plan that takes us in the direction to solve that problem, and now we're seeing it, the first steps of it, before the problem happened, before the problem was even that serious of a threat.
Wow.
That is some impressive stuff.
That is very impressive. I hadn't even thought about that ever. But it's like,
no, people think about DEXs as like, oh, I don't have to KYC. I hate KYCing. It's kind of short-sighted.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of it, obviously, but
someone had to, like, kind of, in planning for social attacks, engineer, I guess, the different sort of like game theoretic incentives that would, I guess, push someone to pull that kind of attack.
Yeah.
And plan against it.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I'm gonna have to really think about that more, especially when I go back and re-listen to this, because hadn't thought about that before.
Yeah, it's a cool thing to have that kind of arm to the project, right? It's nothing about consensus. It's just like this. It's just like this. Yeah, it's just like this defense. It's like a force field, so that we'll be able to, the DAO and the blockchain will be able to continue to do business uninterrupted to a degree that our fellow cryptos are not protected. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, you're right.
So when stuff really hits the fan, I'm not saying we're ready for it today, but it's a race. right? We need
Yeah.
to put this thing in place before the stuff hits the fan. And we're ahead.
I couldn't agree more. I yeah, thank you for sharing that with me. I've learned a lot. We draw towards a close here to our interview.
Yeah, man. I know personally, I don't like to watch long podcasts. I feel
Yeah.
like my attention cuts off at if it's really, really good, I cut it, I turn it off after an hour but even 30 minutes, please condense this so that, you know, the coolest parts are
Well,
the
maybe what
coolest
I'll do,
parts are shared.
yeah, maybe what I'll do, because condensing it is so much more work rather than like, and I've been wanting to do this, so maybe this is just the motivation I have to do is cut out clips, and like turn it into like little video clips that you can share that are only like 5 minutes or so at some of the best
Eh,
parts. What do you think about that?
yeah, I think so. Just I know that
People's attention
um
spans.
yeah, also I mean, it would help if I could actually run it in the background. Like, let's say I could listen to the podcast while I was um, browsing the web or, doing something else. It could just
Mhm.
kind of be in my ear. But the way it is right now, it opens up in my mobile browser and I have to keep it open. and,
Oh,
I
really?
can't do. Yeah, I don't know. I'll look at it again. I don't know if there's an app or something that can play
Are
it
you
in
on
the background.
Spotify or on
No,
no, Apple
but
Podcast?
no.
Okay. Okay. See, I didn't even know this. This is you're the first person to bring this to my attention.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a podcast listener, but I'm trying to support what you're doing and the things that
I
you're talking
appreciate that.
about. The things that you're talking about, I feel like, we're talking about people I know and
Yeah.
project that I'm a
Interested in.
part of.
Yeah.
So, it's a little bit different,
Yeah,
but
yeah, I get you. It's like something you're like, okay, I actually kind of want to hear, this random Anon that I've been following, what they say, what he thinks.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it is. I okay, that's some great feedback though. So thank you for
You
that. I'll
got it,
have to
man.
um find a solution. That's what I'm gonna have to do.
Yeah. Make it
Um
short so that I will want to listen to it. Or else-
fair, fair. Um One last question here. I don't really understand this question, to be honest. This is from Decred DCR. He says, favorite draw card to Decred. Do
Oh,
you?
I think he's just asking, what's my favorite? Yeah, what was my favorite
Oh, okay.
appealing thing
Okay.
about it?
Oh, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, that does make sense. He's talking about in terms of like Magic the Gathering or something. All right. I get the question now. BTC Uncle. A lot of people are going to be looking forward to this. Thank you so much for your time. And is there anything that I didn't ask that I should have? Or obviously people can follow you at BTC_Uncle, but any projects or any websites that you want to shout out or anything?
No, appreciate it though. I mean, I um never really occurred to me that, you know, um people would be interested in Anon's opinions, right? But I mean, I do have a bunch of about everything, including things that I probably shouldn't have such strong opinions about. But it's been a pleasure, um, and good luck to
Thank
your
you.
podcast, and we'll watch this grow, man. Community will get behind this, and we're gonna grow this thing.
No, I really
I'm
appreciate
glad
that.
to be a little part of it. Yeah.
No, I'm honored. I'm honored that you came on. It means a lot to me too that you took your time. So thank you.
Likewise, brother.
All right. Take care. See you guys, dorks. Stay staked.